نسألك يا من هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر الخالق البارئ المصور الغفار القهار الوهاب الرزاق الفتاح العليم القابض الباسط الخافض الرافع المعز المذل السميع البصير الحكم اللطيف الخبير العليم العظيم الغفور الشكور العلي الكبير الحفيظ المقيم الحسيب الجليل الكريم الرقيب المجيب الواسع الحكيم الودود المجيد الباعث الشهيد الحق.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. My dear brothers, inshallah, this is a second sort of session in a series probably of 5 halaqas that we are going to share and discuss together what we call the minor signs of the end of this life, or the minor signs of as-sa'a, the day of judgment or end of this life. And then we have transitional time that connects between them, and then we have the major signs which we will talk at the end. And as I mentioned before, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ one time called people to the masjid, and it was not really one of the time of the main prayers. It was sort of a duha. So when he calls at that time, it's sort of an announcement for something important. And the Sahaba who narrated the hadith said, and he started telling us about what's going to happen in the future until Salatul Dhuhr time came. So they made iqamah, they prayed Dhuhr, and then he went up on al-mimbar and started talking, telling them what's happening until Salatul Asr. Prayed Asr and then went back until Maghrib. So it was really a few, estimate that it's like several hours of lecturing to them and telling them what's going to happen, of course in order and in details. So the narrator of the hadith said, وَأَعْلَمُنَا أَحْفَظُنَا. The person who has really good memory had really gained the most from that hadith. I wish somebody was writing down these or recorders. We would have really known things in more order and more details. Because later on we got these hadiths described in pieces, and the scholars had to really try to put them in order. Inshallah, we will discuss that. There are certain points when we call alamat al-sa'a or amarat al-sa'a or ashrat al-sa'a. These are the 3 words describing these signs. Alamat means signs, amarat means indications, ashrat means conditions, and all really indicate certain meaning. In Surah Muhammad, verse 18, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَهَلْ يَنظُرُونَ إِلَّا السَّاعَةَ أَن تَأْتِيَهُمْ فَقَدْ جَاءَ أَشْرَاطُهَا. And translation, do they then await anything other than the hour, which is as-sa'a, that is, it should come upon them suddenly, but some of its indications or signs or conditions has already come. And in the last session we discussed things that happened during or after the time of the Prophet ﷺ, which the scholars considered signs of the end of this life. Also in the hadith, it's a famous hadith, long hadith, we're just going to take the last part of it. When the Sayyidina Jibreel came to the Prophet ﷺ in the form of a man dressed in white with black hair, and he asked him several questions. The last question was, he asked him about the Sa'ah. What do you know about the Sa'ah, the end of this life? And the Prophet ﷺ said, مَا الْمَسْئُولُ عَنْهَا بِعَلَمَ السَّائِلِ. I don't know, my knowledge is as good as yours. Meaning he's talking about when is going to happen. And probably we can touch on that later on. People try to estimate the time or the life of the Muslim Ummah compared to the other people of the book. And so Jibreel alayhi salam asked him, فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنْ أَمَارَاتِهَا. Tell me what are the indications or signs of it. And he said, أَن تَلِدَ الْأَمَةُ رَبَّتَهَا وَأَن تَرَى الْحُفَاةَ الْعُرَاةَ على. We all know the hadith, inshallah we will discuss it soon. Okay? Why these signs are important? Because the scholar said, when you say conditions or signs or indications, this means that once these do happen, there is nothing to prevent what's going to follow that, which is the major signs of the end of this life. So once these happen, we have to really be cautious and be careful and expect to start seeing the major signs. And the scholars have collected over 90 minor signs. Inshallah, we will go through most of them. And there are certain important concepts we need to understand before we start discussing them. Is probably 10 years ago when I was interested in this topic, the ulama said all the minor signs had happened or have happened except one sign, which is qabd al-ulama. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yaqbid al-ilm, mean when we talk about al-ilm or we talk about the ilm al-sharia, the science of sharia or fiqh, that will also disappear by, they said, qabd al-ulama. The famous scholars will start dying one after another. And in the last 10 years, every year there were 2-3 of the famous scholars dying, Sheikh Sha'rawi, Bin Baz, and there's really very few left. So even qabd al-ulama there are very few like Sheikh al-Qardawi and some other few scholars left. But most of the al-Mawdudi also, all these scholars have really died who contribute, meaning scholars who really understood the fiqh and you trust them with their opinion. These signs increases our iman in the Prophet ﷺ, and that وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى, he doesn't say anything astray or wrong, because إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals to him. And it's important to, some people have mixed certain signs that they consider minor signs, and in fact they are not minor signs, they are events that happened or will happen during the time of the major signs. Example, when the Muslims fight the Jews, and the Jews will be hiding behind except شجر الغردق فإنه من شجر اليهود. This happens later on during the time of the major signs. Another example, when they said the Sa'ah will not happen until ينحسر جبل في العراق في الفرات, big mountain will reveal a big huge amount of gold stuff, something like that. When people talk to animals during the days of Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him. And also the destruction of Al-Kaaba by the Suwayqiyatain. Again, we will inshallah mention that. So these are events that are not minor signs, but they do happen part of the major signs of the Day of Judgment. We mentioned before that Prophet Muhammad said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر. We mentioned that in انشقاق القمر. We also mentioned that the Prophet Muhammad his ba'tha or his prophethood is another sign of the closeness of the end of this life. He said, بعثت أنا والساعة كهاتين وأشار إلى السبابة والوسطى. That's the distance. Of course, that distance is relative to the time of human beings on this planet, so God knows it. 1,000, 2,000, 1,500 years, we will discuss something like that. Okay. So, one of the signs we are going to discuss is in that hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, أَن تَلِدَ الْأَمَةُ رَبَّتَهَا, meaning a lady will be delivering her master. And the ulama explain that in two ways. One of it is that there will be lots of what we call ghazu and futuhat, meaning the Islamic empire will be expanding and they will have prisoners or captures. And these will be under malakat aymanikum, so they can get married to them. And it will be sort of this lady, when she gives birth to a lady, that lady, because her father is the master, she will be the master of her mom. The other option was said because there will be lots of uquq al-ummahat. People will not be nice and loyal to their moms, so it will be like the mom will be like their servant. And both explanations are accepted. And then the next one, أن ترى الحفاة العراء العالى رعاء الشاء يتطاولون في البنيان. Mean you will see people who are shepherds living in the desert. Suddenly they become owners of high-rising and all these tall buildings. And most of the ulama said it's Ahl al-Khalij, because in the 50s, 60s we all living in tents and simple houses. Now they have the highest towers in the world, the highest buildings, and you can see that. Just go on the internet and you see all these things. So that's one example. Another famous hadith, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, أن تجد أسعد الناس في الدنيا لكع ابن لكع. And people could not find an really explanation, but one of the scholars said اللكع is the الشخص الأحمق اللئيم, a mean person who is سفيه, or who doesn't little bit not intelligent. And these are the people who will be leading the people. And mashallah, we see a lot. I don't want to give examples. One of please, no names now. And if you guys have questions, or if you have come across understanding different than what I'm saying, please just share that with us. One of the signs, it says out because there will be a time where people who are trying to hold on their deen and religion is like the example of a person holding on al-jamr, a piece of hot coal or fire. And in that time it says أن يمر المؤمن الرجل المؤمن بقبر أخيه فيقول يا ليتني كنت مكانه. The person who is really mu'min, is going to be few in this whole mess happening around him. He will pass by the tomb or the graveyard of another brother who died before and said, I wish I was in his place. See, because he doesn't want to be in this hole. So that indicates how bad is that time. إذا كان أمراؤكم خياركم وأمركم بين أيديكم وإذا كان أمراء and then if your leaders are your shirarukum means the worst people of you are their leaders, and mashallah we see several examples. وأمركم في أيدي نسائكم, and this is really very common, where the ladies your mainly issues are being controlled by the ladies, whether sort of you are very busy and they are trying to help and do things. I mean, it happens to me too, or because they are taking over. And we will mention another sign where we will see that women will be more common, more in number than men, and we will mention that. وأموالكم في أيدي بخلائكم. Your money is in the hands of your misers. Thank you. Yeah, and mashallah, billions of dollars now in the hands of peoples that not even sharing with people living in graveyards. Even if they live another 200 years, you cannot spend that money. Our Prophet Muhammad says at that time, فَبَطْنُ الْأَرْضِ خَيْرٌ مِنْ ظَهْرِهَا. And to be dead is better for you than living in that time. Another sign, the Prophet he says, لا تقوم الساعة حتى يكثر القراء ويقل العلماء. And that's really true also. يقل العلماء, the number of true scholars will become less and less. Number القراء, I mean, in the past I knew 5 famous qurra of the Quran Kareem. Yeah. Now go on the internet and put one of these Islamic websites, I mean, half of them, I don't know them. I haven't really even, I didn't have the chance. I'm sure many of them, they are good people. But I mean, there are lots of قراء للقرآن الكريم. One of the signs is يقل العلم ويكثر الجهل. The knowledge will be scarce, will become less. And again, we are talking here not only about the العلم الدنيوي, which is physics and nuclear and engineering and medicine. We are talking about العلم الشرعي. That thing will become sort of a rarity, and there will be more of an ignorant people leading these people. So these people, not only that, they will make fatwa, and فَيَضِلُّ وَيَضُلُّونَ. The fatwas will be wrong. It's not based on science, because really العلم الشرعي, it takes years for people to feel comfortable. There are lots of people who has the knowledge, but they still don't think they are capable or qualified to come up with a fatwa. Yet these people will be very common nowadays. He just studied something or finished it, and then he will just give you a fatwa very easy without even knowing anything about fatawa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says one of the signs, يرفع العلم, and it's in the same context. There will be العلم الشرعي, it will be taken up. And it says إن الله لا ينزع العلم انتزاعا, يعني you cannot just take the knowledge out. The knowledge is there in the books will not disappear. وإنما يموت العلماء الصالحون ويبقى علماء جهال. يعني the good scholars will die, and with them dies or decreases the amount of good knowledge in Sharia. So this is how يرفع الله العلم. Okay, but العلم is going to be there. All these books are going to be there. One of the signs is يكثر الزنا والخنا. الزنا is adultery, and mashallah, adultery is different kinds and different and legalized now. And you can go to Las Vegas, it's advertised in the street. In Europe, it's happening in the street. And also the Prophet mentioned about that time that people will be passing in the street and seeing people يرتكب الفاحشة, which is adultery, in the street, not even being shy or modest than doing that in the street. And the maximum he could do is just, if this guy can just do it behind the wall, so we don't show us. So that's the maximum he can do. It tells you how bad things will be happening. If you go to some of the European countries, especially East Europe, I haven't been, but I have friends and family went there. This is happening in the streets. والعياذ بالله. والخنا, الخنا is التفحش في الكلام. Like people go on lots of the TV shows. If between every word and word there is an F word, and even in Middle East, it's not. I'm not just going to talk about what's happening in the United States, but even Middle East, we have people who uses. I mean, Brother Eid knows, أمك, أبوك, whatever, between all these. Yeah. So that's التفحش في الكلام, بذات اللسان. Also, one of the signs is يكثر شرب الخمر. And the hadith وَيُسَمُّونَهَا بِغَيْرِ أَسْمَائِهَا. People will be more and more drinking alcohol or wine. And people will give it different names to make it look fine. Spiritual. Medicine. Yeah, stuff like that. And we all see that around us. And mashallah, there is the only two countries where alcohol or wine is forbidden by law is Saudi Arabia.
And Iran, I think.
Maybe Iran, yeah. Right? And Kuwait. Yeah. Pakistan too? Okay, so 4 countries. But that doesn't mean it does not exist. Of course, if you are in power, you can get it in. Oh, you can. So it's available. But at least by law, in front of people, it's not allowed. Yeah, that's what I mentioned before. وَيَقِلُّ الرِّجَالِ. In the hadith said that we will reach a time where the ratio between males to females or females to males will be 50-1. And the scholars attributed that to the different civil wars that's happening, and there will be lots of killing. So some people think this is going to happen in the transitional time between the minor signs and the major signs. We will talk about, inshallah, Armageddon and those Ma'arak al-Kubra, where there will be lots of wars and lots of men will be lost in these wars. At that time, one man will be responsible taking care of the issues of 50 ladies. I don't know about marrying, but I'm just taking a 50. Yeah. But
I don't know the real words of the hadith, but they say that real men. They say that this describes gays.
Maybe the gays.
right.
Not real men.
Right. Yeah, in fact, we will. But it says here ويقول النساء حتى لا يصير لكل 50 امرأة قيم من واحد. يعني every 50 women will have one guy taking care of their issues and daily things, and قيم يعني helping them and supporting all these things. But this is one of the minor insights, inshallah we will mention that also. Also the Prophet ﷺ said الحلال يصبح صعبا والحرام يصبح سهلا. That halal, to practice halal and find halal and look for halal things becomes a difficult matter to achieve. And haram, available everywhere. Internet, available on the street, available next door, available everywhere. And in fact, we can see that. This is why I said, لا تيسر الحرام ويسر الحلال. Always make الحلال سهل. This is why for marriage, we have to make it easier. It's getting more difficult and more with time, and lots of people and young people and youth who are not able to get married. This is the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said من جاءكم من ترضون دينه وخلقه فزوجوه إن لم تفعلوا تكن فتنة في الأرض وفساد كبير. So that if you have, and that's really the standard, not what's his work. I mean, these are important because المساواة or to التكافؤ. Thank you, جزاك الله خير. التكافؤ is also important to maintain that marriage. But don't let your criteria is how much money he has, what car is he, or what knowledge. He says if you got if a person comes to marry your daughter and he has good deen and good character and good akhlaq, morals, then زوجوه. Don't let him marry your daughter. فإن لم تفعلوا تكون فتنة في الأرض, in the whole universe, the whole planet. وفساد كبير, lots of corruption. And the ulama recommend even to facilitate marriage among youth using the sadaqah money. And Sayyidina, we all know Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, and this is one of the times where there was lots of money excess, there were no poor people, blessing of his justice. And so what did he say? He said, poor people, so there are no people to give them the money, money of the zakah. He said, okay, find all these bachelor young people who are not able to get married and help them to get married. So you can use mal al-sadaqah again to avoid corruption and al-fitna. Okay. One of the minor signs of the Day of Judgment also is what we call أن تصبح الزكاة مغرما والأمانة مغنما. And mashallah, wallahi, when we look at this, يعني, it breaks your heart. أن تصبح الزكاة مغرما. الزكاة يعني somebody comes, you have to pay zakah, 2.5%, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You feel like they are taking that money from you. Yeah, you are penalized for that. This is your money. That's not your money. Zakah is never our money. Zakah is the money of God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to get rid of it. If you don't get rid of it in this life, you're going to pay for it in the hereafter. So many people think that zakat, and if you to be even on the safe side, pay more than what you calculate. Out of wara', out of just when the Day of Judgment, the ulama says, most of them, he said, Allah, I wish when I die, la ali wa la alay. I don't want to be positive, I don't want to be negative. Just want to be break even, like what the people say. So when it comes to prayer, if you have to pay $1,999, pay 100 something. So get rid of that thing, because that money is not yours. That money is the money of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْأَمَانَةُ مَغْنَمًا. يعني you go to one person and you leave an amana with him. يعني Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sadiq al-Amin, everybody, even when he became prophet, they put stuff on him because they trusted him, and he returned things back exactly what it is, not being broken or destroyed. People here, you give them amana, and a few months, disappears, or he uses it. I have personal examples of that. And one of these amanas is what we call, and I mentioned that in one of the khutbah, is the money, is the money that we have money of inheritance, especially that money that you have to pay for your sisters. It's very common in Middle East. Why? Because we're not going to let this money go to foreigners or somebody from outside the family. This is her money. And the Prophet ﷺ, he says, if you deprive somebody's inheritance, you will be deprived of your inheritance in Al-Jannah. Yeah. So this is also amana. This you can buy the land from your sister, pay her money and keep the land to within the family, but you cannot deprive her. And you go on the internet, there are lots of examples and stories in the newspapers or on these web pages where people ask ulama and scholars, what shall I do? Lots of these examples. So this is amana, and people take it as ghanima, as if he won that thing. It doesn't belong to him, but he will pay for it. وَيُصْبُحُ الْمَالُ دُوَلٌ يَتَنَاوَلَهُ الْأَغْنِيَاءُ بَيْنَكُمْ. And this is happening, we say that money will be confined or monopolized by the rich people. And we see that in all, mashallah, Middle Eastern countries. Rich people become richer, and it's a circuit of people, and the poor people don't get any of that. And we see it a lot. أن يعق الرجل أباه ويبر صديقه وأن يطيع زوجه ويعصي أمه. Going hand to hand. And again, this is very common. We see it a lot here. This is why I try to emphasize to your kids is أن يعق الرجل أباه, to be rude to your parents, not respectful and not giving them their rights. And while you are very nice to your friend, or the girl or the person will obey his wife and ويعصي أمه, and disobey his mom. Again, if you go on this internet, there's lots of examples. Sometimes some of the moms are tough to deal with, but many times, you have to be fair. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says, بِرَّ وَالِدَيْكَ وَإِنْ ظَلَمَاكَ. You have to be nice to them even if they were unjust to you. And we have examples from the day. And he says, بِرُّ أَبَاءَكُمْ تَبَرُّكُمْ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ فَإِنَّمَا الْبِرُّ لَا يَبْلَى وَالذَّنْبُ لَا يُنْسَى وَالدَّيَّانُ لَا يَمُوتُ كَمَا تَدِينُ تُدَانُ. Meaning, if you have birr to your parents, your kids will be nice to you, and they will يبروكم. فإنما البر لا يبلى والذنب لا ينسى. People don't forget, and والديان لا يموت.
البر لا يبلى means doesn't go. If you do good, it doesn't go.
Right.
والذنب لا ينسى.
والذنب لا ينسى والديان لا يموت. If you owe some people money, he's not going to forget that. It doesn't go away. Even if you die, you have to be paid. كما تدين تدان. Okay? One of the minor signs, and mashallah we see this a lot, is إذا ارتفعت الأصوات في المساجد. Shouting in the masajid. These are the places where people should have peace and quiet and calm. If you have discussion, you talk softly, gently, you listen to the imam, and if not, you can discuss, but you go outside. We had an episode happening 2-3 months ago in one of the local masjids where the ladies were fighting the men, and I couldn't really hear what they were saying. It was very loud. Yeah. Because as they said, the masjid is not really a club. The masjid is a place where people should share and read Quran, especially in the day of Al-Jum'ah. Okay. One of the minor signs, إذا كان زعيم القوم أرذلهم. Like people or the leaders of, and that really applies not only at the level of not at the level of the ruler of the country or the head. It also applies at different levels, of different employments, including schools or ministries or certain jobs. They say the leader of that place will be أرذلهم. and we will know why also in the other signs. وَأُكْرِمَ الرَّجُلُ مَخَافَةَ شَرِّهِ. The person will be respected and people يهتف for him, go for him, and because they are afraid of his evil. We see them a lot nowadays. Okay. One of the minor signs also in the hadith, لَيَكُونُنَّ أُمَّتِي أَقْوَامٌ. There will be three minor signs. يَسْتَحِلُّونَ الْحِرَّ وَالْحَرِيرَ وَالْخَمْرَ وَالْمَعَازِفِ. We already mentioned them. There will be that time when people will be dressing into silk, which is that applies to men, of course. Some ulama said the artificial silk is okay. We're talking about the natural silk because there is artificial silk nowadays. We make all these ties from it. وَاتُّخِذَتِ الْقَيِّنَاتُ وَالْمَعَازِفِ. People, there will be qayyinat, which is dancers and singers, والمعازف, the instruments of music. And mashallah, there is probably a new singer every day in the Middle East. I don't know about the other areas. I cannot even keep track of
Half
them.
of Lebanon is a singer.
Yeah, I mean, now it's really amazing how, in the last few days, different albums. Many times I look on TV and I ask my wife, who is this guy? Many of them, they don't even have good voice. But thanks for the technology that makes anybody sing nowadays. One of the signs which has been happening during the day of the Prophet ﷺ, and it happens still nowadays, أن يلعن آخر هذه الأمة أولها. The people who come late, or the ancestors of this ummah, they start cursing the what do you call it?
Early generations.
No?
Early generation.
Original Muslims?
Yeah, the original generations.
Like the Sahaba.
Yeah, and we know that some people curse the Sahaba blood, and then some people curse their grandparents for certain reason, or they make fun of the Sahaba. And the Prophet ﷺ, he warned us against that, because if this happens, especially when people start cursing Sahaba, there will be khasif, different catastrophe happening to these people. One of the signs which really became more and more common with the civilization that we are living in is qati'at al-rahim. And that by itself is a huge topic. I remember when we were kids, we always visited grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, spend time everywhere, right? Now, I look even at myself. I have cousins, I haven't talked to them for 10 years. We're living in far away nowadays, but that's not an excuse. I really used to call them, especially on Eid, at least on Eid, call them, especially the ladies, because these are silat rahim. But I don't know what happened. It's qati'at al-rahim. But we are talking about also, there will be lots of problems and jealousy between these people, and people will start not connecting or visiting their kinship, qati'at al-rahim. And in my family there are 2-3 examples, so I'm sure everybody has examples in there where people fight and stop talking to each other and stop. Okay, this is a nice sign. There are, as I said in the beginning of this dars, there are certain events that the Prophet ﷺ has described that people thought they were minor signs of the end of this life, but they belong to the major signs. They are not major signs, but they will happen in between, and we will mention them inshallah when we talk about that. One of the signs that the Prophet ﷺ, he says, لا تقوم الساعة حتى تذهب البركة من الوقت فيتقارب الزمان. Okay, that in the end of this life, in the minor signs, there will be no blessing in time. Or, in fact, the exact translation is يتقارب الزمان. The time will be shorter. Of course, time is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the dimensions. Now, people have spent really some explanation in that. And is it because your feeling of the time becomes shorter? Meaning, they said that the year becomes like a month, the month becomes like a week, the week becomes like a day, and the day becomes like a sa'a. And we are feeling that, like 2010. I mean, just went like that. I mean, we cannot even, when we were younger like this, the day seemed to us longer, the year seemed to us longer. We did lots of things during that time. Now you barely wake up and the whole thing is gone. So that's one explanation. The other explanation is, the ulama said, is that يتقارب الزمان, meaning the distances are being achieved faster, and that's an indication that people are using different means of transportation. It took them 2-3 days from Al-Hijaz to Dimashq. Now in 2 hours by plane you can be there, or less than that, and in the train you can be there in a few hours. So that's another explanation for taqarub al-zaman. So one is that there is no barakah, the time becomes very fast, because time is relative anyhow. Or two, because we have better mean of transportation, so the time becomes shorter. But the Prophet did not give more than that. This is a nice one. One of the signs also, أن يكلم المرء عذبة صوته أو عذبة أذنه. And عذبة أذنه is like this place. I was really fascinated that. And I thought, what is he meaning by that? Is it the phone we're talking to, or is it the Bluetooth now that we put there? I don't know. But I mean, at that 1500 years, somebody to mention that this person have probably seen it and expecting that. So that was a nice sign. وأن يحدثه فخذه بما أحدث أهل من بعده, indicating that people will be recording and telling you what your people have done behind your back. So recording, TV, tanassut, or spying, all this goes under that title. Also, Prophet Muhammad said, وَتَظْهَرِ الْفِتَنِ Fitna between the people, and we've seen this since the death of the Prophet ﷺ. It happened during the day of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, all that we are seeing, all these fitan. And وَيَكْثُرُ الْهَرَجِ أو الْهَرْجِ. And al-harj, it says al-qatl. And in another hadith, it says لا يدري القاتل لما قتل ولا المقتول فيما قتل. Yani there will be time, and in fact, a few years ago, the WHO, United Nations, has a report. They said, I think it was early 2000. It said right now there are 180 plus wars happening on this planet. We probably know about 5 or 6 because the TV mentioned that. But let's just imagine. I mean, we claim that after all these years we are at the top of civilization. I consider human beings nowadays worse than 1500 or 10,000 years ago. We are killing more people than any. I mean, just look around nowadays. Middle East, Africa, Asia. There's lots of killing every day. And it says it comes to a stage where people, the person who killed doesn't know why he killed, and the person who got killed doesn't even know why he was killed. People might get killed by a bomb, can get killed by whatever, without even have any thing to do with probably the whole thing happening. Alaykum salam. And inshallah we will mention few more and conclude. One of the minor signs also أن يفيض المال حتى تعطي الرجل 100 دينار فيستقلها. That there will be lots of money. And mashallah, we see lots of money nowadays, especially after what happened in the Middle East, billions of dollars. And people will be to the extent that you give a person 100 KD, 100 dinar, and he will even look at you that, what are you giving me? Are you kidding me? So that's an indication that will be lots of money during that time. علو أهل الفسق في المساجد. People who are not honest will be like the leaders of al-masajid. And yeah.
Do you think this one about the money could refer to inflation and the devaluation of money? Because in the past it was gold.
Yeah, yeah.
And gold stayed steady.
Right.
But
Like
now
concern.
with the paper money, it
Right.
very quickly becomes meaningless.
Could be. Yeah. It's like when we talked about the time also, you can explain it, yeah, in a different way. So that's what's going to happen in masajid. Again, it says إذا أماتوا الصلاة. People will, the salah becomes really, if you have time, you will pray. If you don't have time, people will, I'll give an example. One time Gaddafi went to a masjid in one of the Libyan cities in Asr time. And so people were happy, the head of the country is praying, so he had him praying imam with them. So he prayed Asr 2 rak'ahs and then he finished the salah. Everybody was looking and so, why it's 4 rak'ahs? I said, no. If you don't have time, you're busy, you can just pray 2 rak'ahs. That's so people will be also not really. The salah doesn't become their first importance or first priority, and they can, in fact, sometimes even ignore it or. استخفوا بالدماء, which is pertinent when there will be lots of killing, or the scenery of blood becomes really an easy thing on these people. Probably because there will be lots of killing at that time. And close to that, it's what we call موت الفجاءة. There will be also, like you will be sitting in a group. Didn't you know so and so? He's only 40 years old. They found him dead in his bed. And we see that a lot. In fact, in the last year, I've heard the story of 4 or 5 people, healthy people. One of them is a very nice brother in Riverside, very well known, very active, and very respected by the people. And his wife went shopping a few hours, came back. He's not answering his phone. Looked for him everywhere. We couldn't find him. Then she went to the garage and the guy was dropped dead by his treadmill. Healthy, young, no diabetes, no heart disease, not smoker, very healthy guy, treadmill and stuff, dropped dead. And I've heard several people going to sleep, never woke up. So موت الفجاءة, sudden death. And sudden death has more impact on people than people who have chronic diseases. There it will be more common as one of the signs of the end of this life. أن يصبح المطر قيظا. قيظا meaning becomes a hardship rather than. We all know that rain is khair, rain is a blessing. But the rain during this time becomes qaydan, becomes sort of a source of a hardship and sort of causes destruction more than blessing. And we see that a lot. I mean, lots of countries, lots of rain. It happened to us last month or the month before. We had lots of rain. The whole streets became like rivers. I couldn't go to work on that day. And there were lots of destruction and sand. Some houses were destroyed from inside by flooding and stuff. And we see that in Bangladesh. We see that in a lot of other countries. One of the minor signs also وَفَاضَ اللِّئَامُ فَيْضًا. Again, we mentioned something close to that, is people who are mean become more common than people who are nice. One of the signs also يكثر الطلاق. Divorce will be very popular and very common. I don't know, in Saudi Arabia it's 70%, Egypt probably 60%, here probably close to 90%.
50 years ago it used to be 0.5%.
Right, in the old days. I mean,
0.5% to 50.
Yeah, people who get married one day, next day they are divorced. Unbelievable. So one of the minor signs also, كثرة الطلاق. There will be lots of divorce, and we see it. This is very clear. We see it a lot around us. Okay. فإن I will stop at this stage. And if you guys have questions, inshallah, next time we will mention the rest of these minor signs. We probably mentioned over 50 today or 60. And next time, inshallah, of course, I cannot mention hadith to support everyone, otherwise we'll take a whole day, but every one of these that we mentioned is supported by hadith. At the end we will mention one long hadith that has summarized them and put them in order by the Prophet ﷺ, which includes most of these important ones. And also we are going to talk about the transitional zone between the minor signs before we start into the major signs of the end of this life. Jazakumullah khair. There was a nice hadith I came across that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has described the sequence of the different kinds of states that are going to happen. That it will be Nubuwa, after that will be Khilafa Rashida, the Khulafa time, Ala Minhaj Nubuwa, close, and then Mulukan Addan or Adudan, which is the like kingdomship, people passing it to their offsprings, and then Mulkan Jabriyan or Qahriyan. There will be states by force, dictators, which we had nowadays, mashallah, there are plenty of them. And then he said, then after that it will be a ruling ala minhaj al-nubuwa, close to the days, like the days of the Prophet ﷺ, ta'ammul ard. And probably that's the transitional time when Al-Mahdi alayhi salam comes to spread peace, and before Sayyidina Isa comes also. Okay? Inshallah, I think we are being done with the dictator time and expecting inshallah a better life. طيب. We'll call it.
We should make dua for Hamid Yunus' mother-in-law. She's in operation.
والله.
She's sick.
إن شاء الله. طيب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم نسألك بعزتك وجلالك وفضلك وخيرك وعظيم سلطانك يا أرحم الراحمين أن ترحمنا وتغفر لنا وتعفو عنا وأن تهدينا إلى سواء السبيل. اللهم أعن إخواننا في دول المسلمين على دينهم ودنياهم. اللهم ارزقهم نصرا عزيزا مؤزرا وارزقهم السلم والسلام واحقن دماءهم يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم نسألك أن تشفي مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين، واشفي قريبة أخونا حامد شفاء تاما عاجلا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم تقبل منا أعمالنا واجعل أحسن أعمالنا خواتيمها، وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
محمد نبينا بنور هدينا، محمد نبينا بنور هدينا، من مكة حبيبي نور سطع في المدينة.